This is the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Lawn Specialists and Catherine Smith from Build Bright Builder Brokers.
If you guys are looking to build in WA or simply curious to see what's going on in building, you guys are in the right place. We're here to give insight with professionals in the game, coming to give the inside scoop. Episodes are uploaded weekly, so don't worry, we don't skip a beat and you won't either. Like, share, subscribe, sit back, relax, and let's go.
Hello and welcome back to the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde and
Catherine Smith, yeah.
Good. Another great one. We've got a special guest, Max Perroni.
Special.
How are you, Max?
Big special so far.
Very special.
Favourites.
That I'll get up there.
Oh, great today.
Right. So thanks for joining us today, mate. Again, we're out of the. So go back a bit. You work at Centurion Steel framing solutions.
So Centurion Framing Systems.
Yeah. So they offer solutions and different build methods, which we're going to get into.
Sure.
But it'd be great to hear a little bit of your background and how you came to be on the best podcast in the world.
Or at least in WA. Let's not.
One step at a time.
Too much, you know.
Well, look, a little bit older than you guys. So I've been in the industry for, 25 odd years, maybe more. Started off as a drafty, and so got a lot of experience, I guess, with one of Perth's, WA's biggest builders in different roles. Learned about design, and really, I guess, that kind of got me into a passion for alternative building materials and doing things a little bit differently. But, the industry's always been very, focused on your double brick and things like that. So I've got a passion, innovation, bit of design. I enjoy those things and always looking for different ways of doing things.
Yep.
So that's why this role, Centurion Framing Systems, really appealed to me after my years of experience. I look after new business, so I really enjoy the people side, being able to meet different organisations and see how we can actually, I guess, help them deliver housing in a different way.
I mean, so for our listeners, your company's not a building company. You supply the steel framing solutions to the many builders that we use in WA as an alternative to double brick. So if they want to use double brick, they can use brick and then steel framing, timber frame, but you primarily use the steel frame solutions, and then work in with what we call brick veneer, which is brick and an internal.
Absolutely
steel.
correct, Tony. Yeah, so we're not a builder. We consider ourselves a steel frame builder, but we're a supporter to the builders, and I guess we work with those to provide them a solution. I mean, I know from experience a lot of builders like to do different things and try different things. But from suppliers, they're actually wanting almost a solution, a turnkey, rather than just a product. Yeah. Because that creates its own issues if things haven't been worked out. Yeah. So, we like to work with builders to deliver the end product. Yeah. Be, fully steel framed, brick veneer, reverse brick veneer, those kind of things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that leads us to why we want to talk today is why we want to use other alternative methods of building, especially in WA. Because let's be honest, it's primarily double brick, and it's been I'm not against it, but it's an old style method of building that we seem to be stuck in a little bit of a rut in WA, because you go over east and it's not a thing, and even back from around my homeland, it's never done there. So it's more just like opening our eyes up to, hey, double brick's fine, but there's other options to look at it with pros and cons to all.
Not even that. I think sort of pre-COVID, everyone was pretty much predominantly double brick. And then obviously there was a supply of shortages. Sorry?
You said the C word. We're not allowed to say the C word on this show.
Well, we're talking about COVID. So, is it the C word? So that's the one we're talking about just right now.
The other one, we're in Australia, don't you say that as it? We're in Australia, use the C word fluently, don't we? It's like...
So what that one as well.
I would never say such a word, guys.
That's a real...
So, sorry, but now since COVID, obviously there's been a lot more open to different, build materials and things like that, which has been great because it really just keeps us on track with the rest of Australia. And I guess a lot of now people are asking, what is steel frame? What is brick veneer? So can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. So I think going back to the double brick, and this isn't, just because we're supplying steel framing, we're bashing, double brick. I think double brick has its use, and certainly, people have come to WA because predominantly we've been building in double brick for years, and there's some real benefits around that. And I think, like you said, the demands of, population growth, the demands of, delivery, bricklayers are getting older. all of those kind of things. And young kids these days aren't necessarily jumping on the bandwagon to be a bricklayer.
No.
You know, it's a pretty tough gig.
Yeah, especially in our son. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And, you know, it leads then on to, you know, carpenters and roof framers and things like that. So, you know, they're the pressure points. I think when demand goes up, we know that, you know, there's only a finite number of bricklayers. And so you're not going to be able to get the delivery of the volume that we need to, I guess, satisfy the market needs, let alone affordable housing, social housing, all of those kind of things. So, yeah, I think from a steel framing point of view, it offers a real viable option. You know, it's worked with brick. It could be brick veneer. So that means, you know, your external leaf is brickwork, your internal steel frame. Steel frame could be the internal walls. It could be upper story as well. It's clad with a different material. Reverse brick veneer is another form of construction where the outside skin is steel frame or timber for that matter. So it's a frame structure. It's lined and the brickwork's on the inside. So that gives you some real good thermal benefits, I guess.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if I've answered.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And again, this comes down to why are we going this route? You know, we've got previous podcasts, and if you haven't listened to the podcast I'm talking about, stop this now, go back and find out why we talk about the immigration influx, because that's going to be a real driving factor of why we need to use other different types of building methods with the immigration that's coming in, because there's a lot. There's 300,000 people coming here in WA in the next 9 years, which, you know, as we know, equates to about 17,000 houses a year that we need to build.
Yeah.
We put some numbers right now. Before COVID, we're 17,000 houses.
Mm-hmm.
And then during COVID, we're trying to do 40,000, 45,000 and more. And we never got anywhere near it, right? We need to get quicker, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, you know, through COVID, you know, the industry 2015-16 was in a bit of a slump area. It then, you know, COVID, I guess, gave it that injection to sort of boost housing demand and the stimulus. And that created its own set of challenges and issues. And we would have seen out of that, and we're still, you know, builders are still reeling from that, trying to deliver the housing that was sold. And you just can't do it, you know, the usual methodology. You've got to look outside. So you've got to look for alternative, quicker, you know, semi-modular, fully modular, a combination of those things. And I do think you're absolutely right. You know, the influx we heard recently at a WA shelter symposium where all the community housing providers were. UDIA was present. Urbis, who do a lot of research around our industry, were basically telling us we're getting around 2,000 people a week coming into WA. So you look at that and you go, wow, that's a truckload of migration.
Yeah.
We're already under housing stress now. We can't deliver what we're delivering. You know, we're probably at around 13,000, 14,000, don't quote me, but probably around that number in terms of housing delivery. And so we need to get to, you know, those numbers of 22,000, 23,000. How do we do that?
Yeah, and it has to be looking at...
It's alternative. You've got to look at, you know, quick speedy ways of construction, modern methods of construction, which, you know, you made a point right at the start. It's not new. This isn't new. It's just new for us. The old is built all over the world.
How do you feel like, in terms of, because it's new to, say, the clients, but in terms of the tradies in WA, how do you find their response to taking on steel frame?
Yeah, really good question. I think, you know, typically, you know, the roof carpenters and the carpenters that are predominantly, you know, they use timber. I mean, they go into these trades because they love the material. So a chippy loves timber. And so getting them to shift to steel is a mind shift and a change that not all of them like to adapt to that. The reason I pick those guys is that they're skilled in all of that. So picking up, you know, steel frame just takes a bit of an adjustment. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing we've got, I don't know, 30, 35 groups of tradespeople, and they'll range from 1 or 2 man teams to 8 to 10.
Yeah.
And they've just embraced it because they're seeing they can build quicker, they can get in and out of a job fairly quick, and it just takes a different mind shift, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
and I've seen some of that as well, just back, you know, with the other companies we work with. We saw that some tried to do it and this doesn't fit when we're doing truss roofs, you know, things like that. But because the standards weren't set at the very start, from the slab pour to the brickwork, you know, we were able to, because we do stick roofs, you could just cut a couple of mil off and throw up and it would be easier.
Yeah.
Or a stick roof means you build the roof on site. Truss roof means it's prefabbed, it comes in and we just literally use a crane to put it in and bolt it in, essentially, for layman's terms, right?
Yeah.
But then you're finding that that they couldn't adjust it because it was out, and then it was actually taking them longer to try and put a truss roof in than it was to build a stick. And then that attitude was, it was too much, had to do it. Well, it's not. It's just a case of going back to you guys and the other builders going, you need to fix this part. And the thing with brickies as well, I know a bricky team who were like, nah, we hate brick veneer, not into it. I think I shared this with you last week. And but 2 or 3 months later, like, no, we were literally just building straight walls and we're gone. We're getting so many teams out, and like, you know, we're making more money. It's not actually as hard because we just quick look at the plans and it's so we're smashing it out.
Yeah.
And making the same amount of money. We're not stuck on a site for 2 weeks. We're there for maybe 3 or 4 days and then we're gone again.
Yeah. I think it's good that the trades are now adapting as well, right?
Slowly.
Do I think?
Yeah.
I think they have to adapt. And, you know, you made a point there around, you know, working with timber. It's pretty easy. There's an adjustment they need to do. They can trim it off. They can cut it off. They can grind it, whatever they need to do. It's a lot easier than steel. I guess the difference that we think from our organisation compared to, say, some of the other steel manufacturers is that we don't just manufacture the steel and see you later. We want to work with the builders. We want to make sure that, you know, the slabs are truly straight and they're accurate. And so that way, you know, our facilities, the guys will design them. It gets spat out to the manufacturing facility, the plant, and they'll press the steel exactly, you know, to the millimetre. Yep. So we want to make sure that, you know, those frames will fit on those slabs accurately and 100%. And that's where I think the difference we offer is we work with the builder, and that's why we call them builder partners, I guess, to us.
Yeah.
We offer an aspect that will help them, and you get truer, straighter lines in terms of construction.
Yeah. I do find like Centurion as a brand has a very strong reputation in the building industry. You know, it's very much positioned itself as, you know, the steel frame, you know, building supplier.
Yeah.
In saying that, we were lucky to go last week through with you, through your factory, and got to obviously see how you guys manufacture and things like that. And what we were talking about afterwards in the cuppa is we liked that everything was done on site in Malaga, locally in Perth. And that's something that is mentioned a lot, particularly with clients, is what do you use that's local? What do you use that's Australian? You know, there are obviously certain building companies that will say like flat pack things from China and things like that, where a lot of them are actually quite conscious of using local trades and suppliers and things like that. And I think that's what we liked about going through Centurion is obviously everyone is here. You know,
really good point, and thanks for sharing that. I guess from our point of view, you know, we gain our steel from TrueCore or BlueScope, so it's Australian.
Yes,
and that's something that we pride ourselves on. And you're right, you know, Centurion's been around as a group for over 45 years.
Yes.
Most people, you know, listening that are looking at house building would know them as, you know, manufacturers of garage doors. They've been doing that for, you know, over 45 years. And, you know, many years ago saw it's not really a transition because they're already pressing their own steel.
Exactly.
It's almost a natural progression to get into steel framing. And you're right, it's a family-owned business here in Perth. And I think people like that. I think people like the fact that they partner with somebody that is local. You can speak to the person that owns the business and you know, you're not getting an import product that is maybe, you know, to a degree could be inferior, you know, because you don't really know what you're kind of getting with some of these other manufacturers.
Understand.
And we've got, you know, Australian standards that we've got to adhere to and all of those kind of things. So, yeah, we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah. I mean, and going through the factory, I loved it because I was way more excited, I think, than you were, Karen, because I like that production sort of thing. From where I've came from, it would stand in the machines for ages and come on to where I was like, so it was really interesting, and thanks for letting us see that. The back with the government thing, because we know the government are really, you know, before the C word happened, the government were using private rentals to Homes West and things like that, you know, the Homes West side of it, which is fine. But now private rentals are going, we're not giving you, we're going to, because the market's so strong now that I'm assuming that the government's struggling to find houses for. Is that what's come back from that symposium sort of thing, kind of a little bit?
Absolutely. So we're seeing pressure at all sectors, and we're seeing it in our normal markets. So, you know, mums and dads, young couples wanting to go out and buy their first home. We've got land supply at the moment, and the builders have got some capacity, and that seems to be fine, and labour seems to be okay at the moment. But, we're just doing, as I said earlier, those kind of numbers that are fairly stable. From a government point of view, we've undersupplied, social housing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So government housing, and you'll see, and there's communication all over the place, state government and even the federal government now with their 1.2 million homes housing fund, Housing Australia Fund. They're investing, I think it was around $10 billion to really get, housing, I guess, the drive within Australia to get more housing built, particularly around that affordable and I guess social housing, which is, they're just so needy when as you said, we went to this symposium, and they're just in desperate need of housing. It's just amazing.
And we're seeing it, but we're still seeing the rent increases daily at the moment. I've got friends who are like, "Oh, do you know anyone who can help me?" And I'm going,
Yeah.
I'll try, but they're like, our rent's going from $550 to $665 or something like that. In Bibber Lake, you're like,
Well, we were
can't
talking
afford
about
that,
it just before the
so-
podcast. Is now it's a movement of people like renting out just a room in their house and just those sort of things, because there's just no accommodation for people. You go to rentals and the lines are out the door and things like that.
It's crazy.
I think also I'd like to know, is Centurion doing anything sort of like in the regional areas? Because I know there's a huge shortage of homes in regional areas, particularly for more those modular sort of pre-made homes. Do you guys touch into that area, Rod?
Yeah, we absolutely do. We've got a number of builders that we're working with in Northwest, so Port Hedland, Karratha,
Yeah.
and a lot of those guys are builders up there, I guess, have to sort of adapt, so they'll tend to do everything. So we'll manufacture and supply.
Yeah.
They'll pick them up from here and put them all together. They're, I guess, almost like a Meccano set, that easily to put together. So I guess from that point of view, absolutely. And Southwest, we're also talking to government at the moment around housing in the Southwest as well. So certainly remote regional areas, not an issue. As we said earlier, we're not a builder, but we certainly want to be out working with their builders and to be an owner builder. Somebody decide to go out and do their own thing.
Yeah. But what I'm kind of hearing from this then, and I hope everyone agrees, is that the big boom's but the boom's not done. We're not even close to clone, because the big boom from like the C word stuff, right, was we were all caught off guard. We're a bit prepared, and everyone's starting to look at the stats going, hold on a minute, there's hundreds of thousands of people coming here. We can't house them. So the boom's not finished. We're going to be stretched again. I don't think we'll be stretched to the point where we'll see 18-month build times back again. I don't think we'll do it, because I think people consciously, I'm hoping builders will consciously not sign people and going, we can't do that because we'll do that.
Yes.
I know Summit Group done a really good job to November 2019 or 20. They shut their doors and we're not taking any more on because we don't do that. And I think that's must have been a hard decision to make, because they probably left a lot of millions and millions of dollars on the table, but they've came out with a really good, their image is still really good that way. So, and in respect to that. But I'm still seeing all the government housing now, and then the fact that we're still 20,000 houses short, 2,000 people a week coming in. Hold on, we're starting to see it again. And if you're looking to build, investing, then this is the time, because 12 months down the road, there's going to be how many people you're looking for housing into. If you want to get on the market and start seeing equity, prices are going to still be pushed up, or they're going to hold, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we'll see the rates come down. Interest rates will come down. It'll become affordable again.
Yeah.
And this is the time to start thinking about it, in my opinion. Hence the reason why having a steel frame solution would be something to look at and going, if I want to get, because it is a quicker build, right? And we'll go through the benefits of steel frame in a minute.
Yeah.
I think, your point's really valid. We saw, there's some articles weekend around, potentially interest rates. Do you fix, do you keep it variable? And there were suggestions that, over the next, 12 to 18 months, things are probably going to come off a bit. There was also, population growth is going up. So that's not going away.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're right. The builders, have stopped, I guess, or put, stops on sales coming in. So all they've really done there is, I guess, it's almost, kick the can down the street a little bit. People still wanting to get in.
Yep.
But some builders have said, no, we can only deliver that many in probably the more normal, conventional methodology. People have to live. People have to live somewhere. They've got to have, the big Australian dream of having a roof over your head. Now, maybe, it's not always a 4x2. It could be a 2x2. We're looking at smaller lots, all of those things. but we've got to look for different ways of delivering those.
And this is where, and I want to jump on that smaller lot thing, right? Because the big dream when I came here 16 years ago was having the big block of land and the big house, and because there's so much space. Now that we're starting to push people further down south, north, east, and you want to be closer, the blocks are getting smaller, so it's the 275, the 300 square metre blocks. My head is like, go up, double store it. Steel frame, timber framing is a perfect solution because it's not as heavy. You don't have to pour as thick a concrete. You know, that's my kind of opinion on
Yeah, ultimately everyone does do a light frame on top at least for double.
But there's all like the suspended slab and all that. And going, well, you don't really know. I don't want to hear people walking upstairs. It's never bothered me. I grew up with that stuff. So I'm like, well, that's what we done. It's like it was timber framing and MDF put down, and then we laid the floor. That's how we built houses. I think they still do it the way it
used to. Like
now, as someone Perth born and bred, been here a long time. Obviously, growing up, there was double brick. So a lot of the time, first home buyers do have that mentality, mostly just because that's what we've had, you know.
Double brick is not solid.
Now I'm finding almost a little bit change in the market where clients are going, well, what's the difference? What's the inclusions? And I think the biggest strength for sort of those first home buyers is, one, your budget is a lot tighter, you know, in terms of what you can include and exclude. So a lot of first home buyers are now open to steel frame purely because you get the higher ceilings and you get the painting included. So the builders that do a brick veneer or a steel frame, they generally will include painting throughout and then a higher ceiling. So that ends up being probably about 10-15 grand cheaper than a double brick build.
And those kind of things are coming away from plaster and white set and going to like G-Tech, and it's a lot easier to fit throw up paint and all. That's the kind of reason. And it's easier to do it, right?
Yeah, look, absolutely. I think the challenges with building the home is around the wet trades, and they've got to, you know, the sand, the water, and getting it, you know, if you've got to go upstairs, then you've got to basically get that sand up there as well in the plaster. So there's lots of those aspects, and I'm not talking anybody out of that, but I think it's around the fact that, you know, with steel framing or timber framing, but, you know, we're here to talk about the kind of steel framing as from my aspect. They can be built quicker. Mm-hmm. You're certainly getting a more cleaner, truer line. We've got more scope with our truss frames that we can give higher volume. So typically if you go to a builder and you want to raise your ceiling heights, there's a cost associated with that. And so we're still framing the strengths in the truss system, that we've got some flexibility around that.
Yes.
And, you know, I think, you know, people will buy apartments, and typically in you know, walls internally in apartments are not brick, not double brick, they're framed. So I think people are getting more used to that construction methodology. And, you know, for us, it's about working with the builders. The builders that are, you know, we've worked really closely with a couple of building groups, and particularly 2-story townhouses. And we've got some really great solutions with them, and we're able to help them deliver some really good volume in narrow lot, you know, 6 metre wide and things like that.
That's what we need.
So upper story, steel framing, we come in 4 days, we've literally covered the steel framing downstairs, floor, upstairs and the roof.
Perfect.
We walk away and then the builder basically finishes it and locks it up.
I think that's perfect segue right into it. Well, why steel? Why would we go to steel framing? What's the benefits of it? If you're looking to build a house, from a client sort of, why would the benefits? Obviously we know the reasons, but let's get here from the expert himself.
You know, the initial thing is, you know, steel's such a strong and durable material. So, you know, with that matter, you know, you end up getting and you saw our press machines, you know, a flat piece of steel, you shape it, you twist it, you bend it, you put a crease in it, you make it stronger. And that's essentially what a truss is. And so you get a truer, sharper line. So to put a plasterboard sheet on a steel frame, it's a true line.
Pretty easy.
I mean, the beauty about doing a steel wall and a steel roof is those materials are the same. So in WA, we can suffer from extreme heat when it gets really, really hot in summer. And, you know, geez, it's getting cooler as well in winter, which we probably haven't seen, you know, 20, 30 years ago. It was all fairly consistent. So when you've got different materials connected to each other, they're going to expand and contract at different levels. And so that will, you know, you'll have cornice cracking and things like that more predominantly in something that's got timber in it, whereas steel is quite true. I guess it's one of the most recyclable materials. So every small, you know, I'll say, square centimetre of waste that gets cut in our factory gets recycled.
Yep.
It's 100% recyclable. And, you know, the company that obviously we get our steel from, it's Truecore Steel. It's from BlueScope. They, you know, there's so many environmental and sustainable, I guess, checks and balances that they have to go through as these large organisations that we know we're actually using a really good quality product. And it's guaranteed. So from a client point of view, faster build, durable, we can have some flexibility around some of their features. And it's locally sourced, locally made.
And you know what doesn't eat steel? Termites. Termites don't eat steel, right? They don't go and then do anything.
Yeah, and even, you know, steel frames get put up and, you know, we've had rains through winter and we'll have rains at any time of the year and it doesn't affect it. So you'll have, you know, timber frames out there that are sitting there, they get waterlogged. When it rains, they're not covered yet. That water's got to come out sometime.
Yep.
And, you know, potentially, you know, it could come out when it all gets fixed up and people are living in it. It could have an impact, whereas steel doesn't get impacted by any of that.
So...
And sorry, I'm just, before you go into the question as well, though, for internally as well, it's easy to do higher ceilings. It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
You can tell that Tony's passionate about.
No, I do. I love this stuff.
He's obsessed.
This is my stuff.
He was so excited to go to your factory.
This is my jam. I came from production and then,
did it for hours.
But like to put like GPUs in or sort of plug the wall sockets and you just dropping it down. It's easy to put the batten in and the insulation. It's a good sustainable product to go that way. You get the painting included and all that stuff. So definitely worth talking about and looking at. I'm not saying I don't do double brick. I just have a bit of a passion for this kind of stuff because it's exciting. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, that was just get that point in there. However, you're in the hot seat now.
So we've got some
I
questions.
wasn't before.
No.
Okay, these are some very serious questions, Max. So don't stuff it up. You might lose some followers.
I don't think I've got any followers, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, you're going to have 100,000 after this then.
Oh, no, I'm only joking. They're just a bit of light fun. North or south of the river?
North.
Oh,
Controversial.
we're both southies. So. All right. Eagles or Dockers?
Eagles.
That's 2 strikes. Okay, here we
That
go.
was the south, so you're kind of like, okay.
What is Perth's best beach?
It's a really good question. Oh, I think Scarborough's pretty good.
Okay. Destination of choice, Dunsborough or Rottnest?
Oh, Rottnest.
I'm going today.
Good on you.
Yeah, I know. See you later.
So let's hold the can again.
I know.
Although I was away before week to Scotland, but anyway.
So if you were going to invest in a suburb in Perth right now, which suburb would you invest in?
So I think I would look for a suburb that is close to transport, close to infrastructure, because I think to live or could be to live or rent.
To invest, yeah.
To invest in. So to invest in, you want people to be able to get access to transport and shops and things like that. So really depends on your budget and depends on, you know, whether you're north or south, but anywhere close to those infrastructure areas. And there's a truckload of work happening around infrastructure at the moment. So you'd want to invest in those. You know, sometimes investing in areas that are outer-lying and not close to those might be great, cheaper, but in the long run, you don't get the benefits.
Yeah, I
haven't answered what suburb, but
Such a politician. Such a politician's answer. Listen, I love it.
Political correctness.
The way I always explain to clients is if the government's putting money there, you want to put money there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're doing it there for a reason. So
Correct,
they're going to benefit whoever's in those areas. And there's so many areas these days that are old houses that are 50 or 60 years old are getting bowled over, blocks are getting subdivided, those kind of things. And, you know, you've got to look at your budget. And I think people also need to have a look at what they need to live. I think we've come through an era where it had to be, 4-bed, 2-bath, family, games, informal, non-formal. And so you had these massive houses and we don't need them. And we know that big population around, single person occupants in a home, over 55s, there's a lot of those, particularly women. There's lots of stuff that, research around that. I don't need a 4x2. So think about that and flexibility.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay.
That was a great sit on the fence political answer. It's so good. It's better.
You can't be so politically correct for the next question. Okay. So this one's going on LinkedIn, so you might lose some business partners. Okay.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No.
But if you're going to build a house tomorrow, what builder would you choose?
So I'm gonna be a little bit politically correct. So, and the reason part of that is we're partnered up with a number of different builders.
Sure. That's why I made that one. That one's a tricky one for me.
It's tough for me to go, I would go with these guys. But, we've got a couple of really great partners at the moment, Prime Group, Home Buyers, part of the ABN group. We work with those guys, and we've got a truckload of other builders that we work with. So as a consumer looking to go to a builder, look for someone that's got some track record. They've been around for a number of years. They've gone through the ups and downs. They've got to like the person there also. Typically it's a sales consultant. You got a relationship. You got to like that person, and that person also has got to have a connection and want to help you. But there are a number of builders in WA that you could go with. So I'm not going to necessarily. I've named a couple.
Has he answered the question, Tony?
I think I kind of.
If he ever runs for Parliament, I'm bored.
Yeah, go for
because he's definitely vote for Max. That'll be a.
Here's Max, and here's the question.
That's good.
I didn't vet those questions. You didn't show me that.
Yeah, we're doing.
Don't. I'm like,
But no, Finn, I understand the difficulties of actually staying a builder. We done it to Joya Damati.
Yeah.
Her dad obviously was Lavira, and she was just like, Jesus, you can't do this to me. And that was
No.
no, but it's funny. We're not
question.
We're certainly not trying to put anyone under the bus. It's a bit of fun and games,
Yes.
I think I've done the same as well. I think I jumped around the question.
I do agree with your point. It's generally not and what I use as in terms of brokering, I definitely don't like to use any startups or anything like that. And everyone I use have been around for many years. All my business partnerships, one have been for many years, but also the builders.
We did use a startup. We used Lavida, but the difference was Mark Damasi was behind that. So it wasn't exactly it wasn't a startup. It was a guy.
Reputation. He's been around the industry for such a long time. And Right, boy.
I suppose it's not a question like you can go, would you prefer Coles or Woolies? It's not an easy question like, do you know what I mean?
Neither. They're both ridiculously expensive.
But you live in a fancy place.
Okay. Anyway, well, let's wrap it up. Thank you for coming, Max.
Thank you. That was...
Any questions or us for us? Anything for us, no?
No, I think, look, keep doing what you... I like the broker model, personally. I think the client has a really good opportunity to have somebody work with them and for them and make the choice based on who the client is.
Exactly.
And the builder. So I think, well done to you guys. And clearly the relationship with the builders is really important. So you've clearly got that with a number of builders around Perth. It just gives people options. I think it's important rather than sometimes feeling like they're shoehorned in and they have to go down that direction and they might not want to.
Yeah,
so,
cool.
Well done.
Well, we really appreciate you giving up your time to come in and chat to us and obviously taking us through the factory last week. That was great fun. So to everyone, thanks very much. As always, like, share, follow, and please follow us on YouTube. We want to get that boosted up, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.